Hi. Today we are talking about one of my absolute favorite comedies ever on Holland Recommends. Snappy's Happy Half Hour. This is another Don Zolidis show from the Play Scripts catalog, but I cannot recommend this play enough. I've done it a couple of times going back to 2014, and I have used it at competition and done very well. It's 30 to 35 minutes long and has roles for 8 females, 6 males, and 4 neutral characters. And whilst a few of the roles are small and only in the beginning of the play, almost all the roles are funny and very enjoyable, and I didn't have a single actor complain about being cast in this show. It is, simply put, one of the funniest and best paced shows I've ever worked on. I will undoubtedly direct it again in the future, as I do mostly performance classes. I generally direct 12 to 14 one-act plays a semester, so I go through a lot of shows. And when I find a show I love, I do come back to it, and I have done this show twice, and like I said, undoubtedly I will do it again. The set is based off of a Barney-esque children's show, so it's very colorful, and you're allowed to do a lot of things with the set. The costumes include a clown, a dog, a rabbit, a mime. You can do so much with the costuming and the makeup and everything, and it makes for a very colorful, very interesting visual show. But then if you take on the comedy of the fact that the show falls apart within the show, you have a very good formula for a good contrast of what's going on and what you see. The gist of the show, basically, is that a new producer has come in to a show that's ratings are lagging and has physically threatened to hurt people if they don't get better. Most of the cast quits, and the director, not wanting to lose her job, enrolls the tech performers, the lights and sound and assistant director, to get on stage and actually be the part for that day because they're running live. The techs don't want to do it, but they don't want to lose their jobs. One of the techies, Tank, is on parole, and another is a former veteran suffering from a lot of issues. Tank is probably my favorite role in this. Drew is probably my favorite role in this. Tank is probably my second favorite. Tank's the mime, and Drew's Mr. Conductor Man, and the replacement actors. The show has, out of the 18 roles, I would say 8 to 10 of them are fantastic parts, and that's a pretty incredible ratio, all things included. If you've directed as many of these as I have, you realize that you don't find too many shows with that many great parts. But when the new director comes in and the new actors take over, the show falls apart. They have recruited one of the child actors has quit. There's 3 child actors and one has quit, and she's been replaced by a child that hears voices and is very violent. And eventually the show devolves into a fist fight, and the set's getting torn apart, and it is just wonderfully raucous, and the pacing is spectacular. And at the end, the bad guy gets his and the good guys win, and it's just got a funny resolution, and I can't say enough about this piece. However, if you've done this long enough like I have, you've had a child that's gone to competition. Xavier Taylor was one of my actors at Laney, and he played Drew / Mr. Conductor Man at our competition. And to this day, he is still probably one of the funniest actors I've ever had. This particular performance, he was unbelievable. He was the best performer at the entire competition, in my opinion, and when he didn't win an acting award, I thought it was criminal. And I told him so, but I said, don't worry, Xavier, I'll be talking about you for a decade to come. And I still do. It's still one of my all-time favorite roles. Also, the role of Tank, who becomes Henry the Mime in this show. I did the show two off years in a row, once in a smaller class and once as competition. And the first year I cast Tank, he was a senior, and Trevor was about 6'3", 6'4", probably 325 pounds. It's a beast of a dude. And then the next year he was gone, and I cast Roger Penny, who was one of Trevor's best friends. And Roger's about 5'7" and about 140 pounds soaking wet. And he took a completely different take on the mime. He went from being a big biker mime to being kind of like a short, creepy mime. Both were fantastic and still made me laugh. The role of Maisie, who was played by Sarah Dillon for me, was over the top as the crazy little girl that hears voices. Sam Weaver and Wendy Daniels were spectacular as the child actors and using their imagination. So many good lines in this show. I still use this show as a read-through show for my beginner classes to show them what comedy is supposed to be like in a show. And top to bottom, you will not be disappointed with this piece if you do it. There's very little, I don't think there's anything in here that is controversial or potentially offensive. Drew does have PTSD, and they do make light of that, but it's in a way that's, I think, acceptable. And also, there's a little bit of violence at the end, but it's comedic violence and nothing nasty or horrible. So I'm pretty sure your administrator would approve the show, even if you have a more conservative administrator. Fortunately, at Laney High School, I've had back-to-back administrators over the last decade who have supported my work and supported my vision on things. I very rarely get any blowback. I know that some of you do not have that luxury, but this show should be a winner regardless. It is Snappy's Happy Half Hour, and I can't say enough about it.